I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, as trade tensions rise between the U.S. and China, a key ally in the Pacific Theater comes to Washington. We're at the White House. The Trump administration's fight against drugs takes to the sea, but is it within his authority? What lawmakers are saying. A brazen heist in broad daylight.
We heard the sounds and we didn't have no clue that it was a robbery.
Thieves target one of the most well-known museums in the world. We have the details on how it happened. Plus, we have 7 new saints. We'll take you to the canonization mass in St. Peter's Square. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Paul of the Cross. Our top story tonight. President Donald Trump welcomes Australia's Prime Minister to the White House. On the agenda, critical minerals, rare earths, China, nuclear-powered submarines, trade, the Middle East, ceasefire, the war in Ukraine, and much more. As is often the case, the president allowed reporters in to see some of the action, and he took plenty of questions. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Veronica, good evening to you. When President Donald Trump welcomed Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese outside the West Wing here at the White House, from a distance I was able to shout a few questions. Both men responded. Take a listen.
President Trump, sir, your message to the people of Australia.
We love them.
What do you hope to accomplish today with the Prime Minister?
A lot. Great things. Thank you very much.
We're going to get a lot done.
In the cabinet room, both world leaders address reporters.
We've been long-time allies, and I would say there's never been anybody better. We fought wars together. We never had any doubts, and it's a great honor to have you as my friend. It's a great honor to have you in the United States of America.
We are great friends, and we're great allies. And this is a relationship that's been forged in the battlefields of the world. We have stood side by side for freedom and democracy.
Right out of the gate, with officials from both countries looking on, both men sign an agreement on rare earths and critical minerals.
Well, this is a $8.5 billion pipeline that we have ready to go.
That's right. It's all ready to go.
Just getting started.
And we're doing a real job on rare earth and many other things.
Also discussed, China, which has expanded export rules on rare earths.
If we don't make a deal, I'm putting on an additional 100% on November 1st. I think we'll make a deal. They threatened us with rare earths, and I threatened them with tariffs, but I could also threaten them with many other things.
In the Middle East, the fragile ceasefire in Gaza. Tensions remain high. The next stage focuses on disarming Hamas.
I mean, we have a little situation relatively with Hamas, and that will be taken care of very quickly if they don't straighten it out themselves, because they're in violation of their agreement.
And in Ukraine, no ceasefire yet, but a Trump-Putin Budapest meeting arrives soon. Until then,
the big number of human lives of soldiers that are being killed on the battlefield, anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000, sometimes more than that every single week. It's not even believable. It's a bloodbath.
Also tonight, President Trump says that in a couple of weeks he'll meet with China's president in South Korea. And President Trump also says he'll be traveling to China early next year. And he predicts a trade deal with China will happen. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
This weekend, nearly 7 million people took part in No Kings protests against President Trump's policies in cities across the U.S., including New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Miami, and Los Angeles.
We can compel them! We can compel them!
More than 2,600 demonstrations were held coast to coast. Republicans say the rallies are simply an effort to distract from the current government shutdown battle and appease their base. President Trump mocked No Kings protests on Truth Social this weekend. He posted an AI meme of himself in a fighter jet labeled King Trump, dumping sewage on demonstrators. Vice President J.D. Vance joined in with a blue sky post showing Democrats bowing to Trump as a divine ruler. Now to the Middle East. Earlier today, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner held a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a push to stabilize Gaza's fragile ceasefire. Their visit comes just one day after 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in what Israel says was a Hamas attack, prompting a wave of retaliatory airstrikes across Gaza. According to Gaza health officials, at least 45 Palestinians were killed. Israel later said it had resumed enforcing the truce. As of Monday, the ceasefire appears to be holding. Israel received the remains of another hostage and has reopened aid deliveries into the devastated territory. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance are expected in Israel Tuesday for talks with Netanyahu. As the U.S. government shutdown enters week 4 with no end in sight, some members of Congress are speaking out about the Trump administration's drone strike orders against suspected Venezuelan narco-trafficking boats. According to the Pentagon, they were filled with drugs and headed to the U.S. Some defend the president's right to order the strikes. Others say only Congress has the authority to approve such operations. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us with the latest. Eric.
Well, good evening, Veronica. Yes, President Trump says that he believes Venezuela is, quote, feeling heat amid his administration's war against the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. The U.S. Navy has carried out at least 7 strikes, including blowing up 2 vessels in the past week, killing at least 30 people since the operation began. Now, Democrats charge that President Trump is exceeding his authority, and they are demanding congressional action.
Congress should be having hearings. Literally right now, there's no reason we can't do it, and demand to know what the facts are, as well as also urging that the War Powers Act be implemented in those factual situations.
Among those facts, others say, is to determine whether these vessels are drug boats at all.
I'm very concerned that some of the strikes thus far may not have been accurately going after narco-trafficking vessels. But if there is a strike where we think we have some really good facts to show, hey, look, this is unlawful, the president's gone too far, he's attacked the wrong people.
And some Republicans want proof as well.
You can't just blow up boats of people who you don't even know their name. In fact, y'all should be asking the White House, what are their names and what is the proof that they were involved in this crime? They're accused of something. We basically are summarily executing people who are accused of something. It's a terrible idea.
Senator Paul and several others have introduced a war powers resolution that would block U.S. armed forces from participating in hostilities against Venezuela, specifically after President Trump raised the possibility of attacks against Nicolas Maduro's regime. But other Republicans are speaking out in support of the operations.
The President of the United States is doing exactly what he should be doing. He's the commander-in-chief. When he sees an invasion coming against the United States, he takes action. He's a leader. He should take that action. I support him 100%.
The Department of Defense has given us their legal reasoning behind hitting those drug boats. But as I've said before, number one, not only is it lawfully sound, but 2, it is morally right to protect our families here in the United States of America from what these traffickers are bringing into our country.
Venezuela's president condemns the attacks and says President Trump is being deceived by his advisors. But Colombia's president went so far to call President Trump and his administration murderers. Colombia has also recalled its own ambassador to the United States and is bringing him back home. President Trump fired back by calling Colombian president an illegal drug leader and is now withholding $230 million in aid that was earmarked for the country. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
As Australia signs a rare earth deal with the U.S., China expands its restrictions on rare earth minerals, prompting President Trump to up his tariff game. Joining us now is Kurt Hopkins, CEO of MCQ Markets. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me, Veronica.
So first, can you explain what rare earth elements are and why they're so critical to modern industries like defense, energy, and technology?
Yeah, so rare earth minerals are inputs into manufacturing that are used, especially in some of the newer technologies that are out there. And so it's a very important part of our manufacturing process, especially in advanced manufacturing. And it can impact, things, for example, in the car industry as it relates to electric vehicles in particular, batteries, and other critical new technologies.
So currently, China dominates global rare earth production and processing. How did that dominance develop, and what vulnerabilities does it create for the United States?
Well, China has, in many industries, been taking advantage of their situation of having a highly controlled authoritarian government, which allows them to focus their considerable resources on dominating certain industries. And we saw that, for example, 10, 15 years ago in the telecoms technology industry, where now much of that is wiped out and dominated by Chinese players. And, clearly the Chinese have taken this industrial strategy to things like rare earths because they want to be able to control the supply chain into some of our major new technologies.
So President Trump has threatened new tariffs on Chinese rare earths. What's his strategy behind the move, and could tariffs realistically reduce U.S. dependence on China?
I think, obviously the situation with China goes back to allowing them into the World Trade Organization way back, 25 years ago or so. And so those decisions were made, and I think some of the downsides were not considered. And so I think by putting tariffs on, yes, it could have some impact, but the big challenge is that China does have some real competitive differentiators. They do have a cheaper manufacturing base than we do. I don't think we want to be bringing back, cheap T-shirt manufacturing to the U.S. simply because it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't make sense to be manufacturing cars, that cost less than $30,000 in the U.S. just simply because we cannot do that competitively. So I think the key thing is that we need to be looking at these key areas of defense and related to our strategic industries and making sure our supply chains are secured and having a bit of planning, but not too much planning, having some planning to ensure that these rare earth minerals and other things like that are not dominated by the Chinese, that we actually have control of them. So I think from a defense perspective, it's very important to do that. And I think that is a much better tool than tariffs. I think tariffs just end up probably causing more problems for our economy than it will for Chinese.
Kurt Hopkins, CEO of MCQ Markets, thank you so much.
Great, thank you for having me.
Hundreds of websites and services were down today after Amazon's cloud computing service was struck by a major outage. Snapchat, Signal, and Fortnite video games were just some of the many companies impacted. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, said the outage hit around 3 a.m. Eastern Time and lasted about 3 hours. While the problem has been fixed, the company says there are still some lingering issues for users. We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. What can you do in 7 minutes? For a couple of thieves, it was enough time to rob the largest museum in the world. And Pope Leo canonizes 7 new saints, including a first for 2 countries. We'll explain. Meta has recently released updated restrictions for teen accounts on Instagram using the PG-13 guidelines applied to movies. Accounts for users under the age of 18 will now be filtered to only see content similar to that of a PG-13 rated film. The move hides posts that contain sexually suggestive content, graphic images, and topics related to alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana. Instagram says these updates are already underway to teen accounts in the US, UK, Australia, and Canada, with a global expansion coming soon. Meta also plans to bring similar protections to Facebook teen accounts next year. Father Michael Baggett, visiting scholar at the Institute for Human Ecology and an invited theology professor at the Catholic Institute of Technology, joins us now in studio. So, Father, what do you make of this new move that Instagram has rolled out?
Any change to help empower parents protect their children and restrict age-inappropriate content from them is a positive step forward. However, I am concerned because there is quite a difference between static content like a movie that can be thoroughly reviewed by a committee and very dynamic conduct that is performed in social media. So we're dealing with different forms of cyberbullying. We're dealing with predators that are online. We're also seeing a rise in the phenomenon of AI companions and a kind of unhealthy emotional dependence that can be created on these platforms. Those kinds of dynamic relationships are not necessarily regulated fully with a mere label.
Now, of course, we know that AI can be helpful from an educational standpoint. So what would be your advice to teens, to parents, and to educators as they navigate through this new technology?
I would say great vigilance and critical discernment, because there's a mix of everything available online. And indeed, they can be tools of research and assistance, but they can also really promote toxic relationships when left unregulated. So I think that these sorts of measures are always an opportunity for parents and any user to step back and look critically at the kind of digitally mediated relationships that we constantly have, not to enter into them naively, but to really look at the potentially dangerous and harmful content or relationships that can take place there.
Now, studies have shown that some social media use can lead to mental health issues, especially for teens.
Yes.
What would your advice be in that situation?
Well, there should be healthy detachment from these platforms. There should be a privileging of impersonal contact and communication. We need healthy friendships. We need strong families. We need supportive communities. And anytime we see a form of social media-related interaction replacing or distracting or discouraging this kind of impersonal contact, that should be a red alarm that something needs to change and that we need to return to the richness of interpersonal exchange and not retreat to a kind of alternative digital world.
Now, Meta is also saying that AI should be giving answers that are in the form of the PG-13 rating as well. Again, just what advice would you have potentially if something doesn't always go the right way? What could people do?
Well, I think that we really need to move beyond just the labels and look at the types of laws that we have. Certainly, parents have a unique responsibility in constantly monitoring and discussing with their children and with other vulnerable people the type of interactions they're having. But I think we can't put an undue burden on parents. We also need laws that hold these companies accountable for sometimes exploitative behavior or design techniques. Sometimes the products can become a bit addictive and can really mislead guidance and mislead people.
Father Michael Baggett, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
An investigation is underway after thieves targeted one of the world's most famous museums in a brazen daylight heist. This was the scene outside the Louvre in Paris on Sunday. Investigators say thieves entered the museum just after it opened. They used an external freight elevator that was on a truck and forced open a window to get in. The room they entered is known to house the crown jewels of France as well as other treasures.
It does appear that these were extremely well-trained robbers. They planned this meticulously, obviously.
Officials have not yet released full details on the stolen items or what they're worth. After 20 years, one South American country looks like it's turning away from socialism. Early results show that Rodrigo Paz Pereira will be the nation's next president. The country has been led by the movement towards socialism for 20 years. The 58-year-old centrist senator belongs to the Christian Democratic Party. After his victory, he thanked God, saying that God, family, and the homeland is his vision for Bolivia. Up next on EWTN News Nightly, looks can be deceiving. This isn't a museum or a church, but it is named after the Blessed Virgin Mary in the most unlikely country. And what do a former saintess, an Armenian Catholic archbishop, and a lay catechist in Papua New Guinea have in common? We'll explain after the break. Something you would expect to see in Iran. It is a metro station with an arch concourse and dome featuring religious frescoes and artwork honoring the Virgin Mary. Authorities say it is a symbolic gesture towards religious minorities in the Islamic Republic, but it also serves as a reminder of a harsher reality. Christians in Iran continue to face arrest, torture, and imprisonment for their faith. During a solemn mass in St. Peter's Square, Pope Leo proclaimed 7 blesseds to be canonized saints in the Catholic Church. EWTN Vatican journalist Benedict Sedegren tells us more about the new saints and the celebration of their lives and faith.
A former Satanist turned apostle of the Rosary, a wartime martyr in Papua New Guinea, and a doctor who served the poor. These are among the remarkable men and women who are now canonized saints due to their heroic faith. Before an estimated 70,000 people in St. Peter's Square, Pope Leo proclaimed 7 new saints in his second canonization since his election. In his homily, the Holy Father emphasized the need for faith on earth to give meaning to life and sustain the hope for heaven.
Today we have before us 7 witnesses, the new saints, who with God's grace kept the lamp of faith burning. Indeed, they themselves became lamps capable of spreading the light of Christ.
Among the new saints are 2 martyrs, St. Peter Torot and St. Ignatius Maloyan. St. Peter Torot was a lay catechist from Papua New Guinea killed during the Japanese occupation in World War II. He defended Christian marriage and defied the authorities who permitted polygamy. St. Ignatius Maloyan, an Armenian Catholic archbishop, was executed during the Armenian genocide for refusing to convert to Islam. Alongside Italian former Satanist Bartolo Longo, 2 Italian women were also canonized. St. Vincenza Maria Poloni, foundress of the Sisters of Mercy of Verona, and Sister Maria Troncati, a Salesian missionary who served for decades in Ecuador's Amazon rainforest.
We see all this in the lives of the new saints. They are not heroes or champions of some ideal, but authentic men and women. May their intercession assist us in our trials, and their example inspire us in our shared vocation to holiness.
Large Venezuelan delegations also attended the canonizations, as the first 2 Venezuelan saints in the history of the Church were officially declared. Saint José Gregorio Hernández Cisneros, known as the Doctor of the Poor, and Saint Maria del Carmen Rendiles Martinez, who founded the Servants of Jesus in Caracas in 1965. In an interview with EWTN News, Silvia Correale, the postulator for the causes of Venezuela's first 2 saints, explained the significance of this historic moment.
Surely it reminds us of what Lumen Gentium number 48 stresses, the universal call to holiness. José Gregorio is a lay faithful and Mother Carmen a religious. José Gregorio is a man, Mother Carmen a woman. In other words, we are all called to holiness. All the baptized are called to holiness. We are part of that people of God, in whom the Lord pours all His love through the action of the Holy Spirit. And He wants His people, that is us, to walk in holiness.
From missionaries who brought the gospel to new lands and those who gave their lives for the faith, to founders of new religious communities and lay people who dedicated their lives to serving others, holiness takes many different forms. Each of the 7 new saints, Pope Leo said, exemplifies this in a unique and inspiring way. In Rome, Benedict Sedegren for EWTN News Nightly.
We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night and God bless.